Hi friends, in this IBM Data Power tutorial, we are going to have a basic overview about this tool. The agenda of this tutorial is we will see how IBM Data Power as a tool fits into an ESB, that stands for Enterprise Service Bus. We will also see what are the different IBM products in SOA platform. We will also see what are the advantages IBM Data Power provides compared to other IBM integration products, and we will see some different use cases where we can use IBM Data Power. Okay, so what is an ESB? Means Enterprise Service Bus. Before understanding Enterprise Service Bus, let's take an example of any industry domain, and we will take an example of any company, and we will see how many internal system and services those companies are having. So if you see in any industry domain, like as a banking, insurance, or manufacturing, or automobiles, in any industry domain, suppose there is any company called as a, let me take the example in banking industry, it's a Bank of America. Okay, so in Bank of America will not have all of its systems built with same technology like as Java or C, and it will also not have all the systems running in same platform. Okay, because nowadays each company has different a very wide range of business. Okay, they have different customers to fulfill, so to suit their business needs, a company will internally have different systems. Okay, all those systems might be built with different languages, suppose Java, C. Some legacy systems are built with COBOL languages or C++ or .NET. Okay, and these different systems might also use different run platform to run those applications. So there are major operating systems like as a Sun Solaris, then Unix, then mainframe, or it could be Windows and Linux systems as well. Okay, so now you can see over here, in any enterprise, in any company, there can be different systems, and built with different languages, and it can be deployed in different operating systems in different hosts. Now the problem comes how these different systems and services are going to talk to each other, because suppose here in this diagram there is one custom application which we have made with Java language. Okay, another, here I have exposed a web service, okay, to other third party, and this applications also I made with Java, and this process applications I made with .NET. Now from I want to have integration between this process service to this web service. This process service I developed using .NET, and this web service I have built in Java language. Now in such scenario, because both has different runtime environment, this has the Java runtime, it is the .NET runtime, so how these two systems and services are going to talk to each other. Okay, now to resolve this issue, the one architecture comes into the picture, and we call that architecture as SOA, or service oriented architecture. ESB is the part of service oriented architecture. Now how ESB works, we can discuss this concept using one example. suppose there are two people. One is one guy, he knows Spanish, and another person, he knows French. But Spanish guy, he doesn't know French, and French guy doesn't know Spanish, and both these people wants to talk to each other. Then how they can talk to each other? Yes, they can talk to each other if they will have some sort of a guy who knows Spanish and who knows French as well. So let's here assume there is an English guy, he knows Spanish and he knows French as well. Okay, so now when a Spanish guy will send a message, that will Spanish guy will send a message in Spanish, English guy will send no problem. I have the capability, I can understand Spanish, so he will understand Spanish message. He will internally convert Spanish message to a French message, and it will deliver that French message to French guy. Now French guy can understand because the message has come in French language. It will process that message and he will give his reply in French because he doesn't know Spanish. Now again that reply will come to English guy, and English guy will again convert that French to Spanish and deliver that message to a Spanish guy. So in that way, both people who doesn't know each other language, they can talk to each other. Same concept is used in ESB. As we know, different systems use different type of message formats. Like I say, some industry standard message formats are like XML message format, JSON message format, then some text message format, then some COBOL message format, okay, and some CSV comma separated values. Like that, there are a lot of if message like Swift message format which is used in banking system. So like that, there are a lot of different message formats are there in industry. Okay, now one system uses XML, another system is using JSON, and they want to talk to each other. So in same way, ESB will say, I know XML, I know JSON. You send your message in XML only. I will internally convert that XML message to JSON, and I will deliver that JSON message to the system who wants to receive message in a JSON format. I will get the response in JSON format, and again I will convert it to XML and I will deliver to you. Okay, so this capability of the ESB is called as a message transformation. Okay, message transformation is one of the very important capability of any ESB. So any ESB, it should be able to convert or transform message from one format to another format. Okay, now the next capability of ESB is called as a message routing. What is message routing? Now who is going to decide the message which is coming from a custom application and will be delivered to one application which is listening message in the JMS form? Okay, so internally, suppose I want to send a message from from this Java based application to some JMS application. Okay, so that logic will be written in ESB is going to decide how to route message from one system to another system. So that is the reason here the another capability is called as a message routing. Okay, now the third major capability is protocol bridging. Okay, before understanding this capability, we should understand what is protocol. Okay, whenever we deliver one message from one system to another system, so how that message is going to be delivered? Okay, so protocols are nothing, these are the set of rules which will help to send message from one system to another system. Okay, so we can understand it's like as a medium. What is the medium by which you are sending message from one system to other system? Okay, so there can be different type of protocols. in the industry, like as a HTTP protocol, SOAP, then FTP, MQ, JMS, Corba. Okay, now so it means different application will have different type of a message format, and different application you might use different type of protocols to send their message. Suppose here this Java based application which I am showing as a custom application wants to send message to JMS application. This Java based application sends, it says I can only send message through SOAP, and this JMS application, it says I can only receive and send message through JMS. Okay, now it is something, now if in this case these two applications cannot talk to each other, so ESP has one more capability where it will convert one protocol to another protocol, that we call as a protocol bridging. So in this case ESP will say no problem, you deliver message using the SOAP protocol, I understand SOAP, I will receive your message, and if it is needed I will do the message transformation from one message format to another message format, and after that I know this system receive message in JMS and I know JMS too, so I will put that message in JMS protocol and I will deliver to this person, and when he will reply back, he will reply back in JMS. I will receive that JMS message, I will understand that message, and again I will put the same message to the in the SOAP form. So in this both systems can talk to each other. ESP is a generic concept. Okay, this ESP is this ESP concept is demonstrated by different vendors. As we say IBM has lot of tools in ESP. The major tool which has most of the capabilities of ESP, that is called as a IIB. Formerly this tool was called as a message broker. Okay, then IBM has some other tools like as a WESB, Cast Iron, then WTX. Okay, then there are some different vendors who also provide ESP implementation, like as a Oracle has Oracle Fusion, same way Microsoft has BizTalk. Okay, then there is an open source tool called as Mule. Okay, so then we have TIPCO, then we have the web methods. So these are the different ESP tools. Okay, yeah, I forgot, IBM has another ESP tool called as a IBM Data Power. Okay, so now in the next slide we will talk about different IBM ESP tools, and we will see what are the difference between these tools. Okay, so as we see in this slide, IBM has tool like IBM Integration Bus, IBM Cast Iron, IBM Data Power, WESB, WTX, WebSphere Transformation Extender, and WebSphere Partner Gateway, WPG. Okay, so these all tools are ESP, as we see over here. Then it means all these tools will do this job, like message routing, message transformation. Okay, and protocol bridging. Okay, in these tools, IAB, we call IAB as a universal integrator. Universal integrator means IAB can transform any to any message format. Okay, so your source message format can be any, or your destination message format can be any. IAB can transform any to any message format. Okay, and it can transform any to any protocol. So that is the reason we call IAB as a universal integrator. Then another tool called as a IBM Cast Iron. So as we know, nowadays there are a lot of cloud based applications are present in market, like as a Salesforce. We have Amazon Web Service, AWS. Okay, you have Workday. So like that, there are a lot of Salesforce cloud based applications are there. So there is a need to integrate our in-house application to cloud application, or cloud to cloud application. Okay, so whenever we have such needs, suppose I have one application which is installed in my own local desktop, and I want to connect to some database, and that database is hosted in Salesforce. So that database will act to me as a cloud database. So if we want to do such sort of a integration. In such situation, we will go this tool called as a IBM Cast Iron. Okay, so here one question arises: can't we do such type of implementation in IIB? Okay, so my answer will be yes. Whatever you are achieving in IBM Cast Iron, you can do everything in IAB, but the licensing fees of IAB is more than IBM Cast Iron. So any company which has only cloud based integration, they will prefer to go with IBM Cast Iron rather than going with IAB. Okay, and again one more advantage is IBM making any orchestration, making any message flow in IBM Cast Iron is quite easier than IAB. So that is another one reason many companies will go to IBM Cast Iron. But if they have they have lot of integrations, and they have lot of applications which are using different message format, then it is advisable to use IAB. Okay, now the third product comes IBM Data Power, and that product we are going to have overview in next couple of slides. IBM Data Power comes into it is also an ESP, so of course it is going to do all these three jobs. Apart from that, IBM Data Power used for the security implementations. We will discuss about this in the next slide. But whenever two applications are talking to each other, one application is hosted in one system, another application is hosted in another system. So they are talking with different protocols, might be a web service protocol or FTP or MQ. So there is always a risk, because your information is going from one host to another host. So there is always a risk this information can be captured by third party. Okay, so what we need to do, any sort of integration projects, we have to make sure your information is secure. So we have to do some sort of a configuration for security purpose. In that case, whenever we want a very good security, we will always go for IBM Data Power. Okay, then another tool is called as a IBM WESB. IBM WESB product is now discontinued by IBM in 2012, but this product was also an ESP, and it will be mostly used whenever you are going to use XML as a message format. As we know, most of the systems and services, they use XML as a message format, and they use web service as a protocol. So whenever we have XML as a message format, and we have SOAP or REST or MQ as a protocol. We will prefer IBM WESB. Okay, so then we have another tool called as a WTX. As the name itself says, transformation. So whenever we have lot of transformation needs, like there is a very big XML message and we have to convert to another XML message, think like as a XML to XML conversion, but this XML message is quite big. Okay, in that scenario we need to do lot of transformation. In that scenario we will prefer to go with WPTX rather than all these tools, because in WTX your performance will be better. Same way, another tool IBM have that we call as a WPG or WebSphere Partner Gateway. Till now, whatever the integration we have discussed, all this integration was called as a B2C integration, business to customer integration. Okay, sometimes we have the need called as a business to business integration. Okay, in such scenario, B2B integration, we will use this tool called as a IBM WebSphere Partner Gateway. Okay, now in next slide we will see what are the benefits of IBM Data Power. So as we saw in the last slide, the main advantage of IBM Data Power is it help us to implement security. Okay, now if you see, can't we implement security with IAB? Yeah, my answer will be yes, we can implement security with IAB, but if you implement security with Data Power, it will be quite fast compared to IAB. Okay, so we can understand this security thing over here. Suppose this is an external client from where the request is coming. Okay, and this is the internal server. In between client and server there is a layer. We call this layer as a demilitarized zone, or we can say this is a Data Power box. Okay, so any requests which are coming from the external client, those requests will always go through the Data Power, and Data Power will basically authenticate and authorize. Okay, there are two type of securities are there. One security is Data Power will check whether the request is coming from the proper channel or not. Okay, if the request is coming from proper channel, then the request is authenticated. Okay, as we have written over here, and then when the request has reached to Data Power, what are the resources it can change, what are the resources it can work on. So that is called as a authorization. Okay, so it will check authentication and authorization of that request. Once that request is authenticated and authorized, it will send that request to the server. Along with that, between from the client to server, we want this request should not be captured by another third party intruders. So in that case, what we want this request should be encrypted. Okay, and whenever it should reach to Data Power, this request should be able to decrypted. So there are some concepts related to encryption and decryption. So we will discuss those concepts also in IBM Data Power. Okay, so basically all these type of securities, authentication, authorization, SSL, message encryption, decryption, digital signature, all these type of security we will implement in Data Power. Okay, now the question comes, okay, as we know, whenever we implement security, always your performance will go down. Let's understand this with a very simple example. If suppose we are going to office, and in between there are a lot of checks, someone is checking our bag, someone is checking our car, the time in which I will reach to my office, it will be increased. same thing happen over here. When you place lot of securities over here in this zone, that's fine, we can always implement security, but the time in which the request from the client reaches to the server, that will get increased. Okay, and most of the time these integration tools and products are used in real time transaction. Okay, so as you know, in real time transaction, if suppose I am making a transaction in a bank, I want to withdraw some money from a bank, and the request is coming in 5 minutes. Okay, next time I will not do that transaction, and I'm not sure in that transaction whether my transaction is valid or not. In that time, suppose some interruption happen, or there are a lot of chances your transaction can be failed. So in that scenario, what we want, even if we place security, the whole transaction time should not be more than few seconds. Okay, so it means we have to make a balance between security and performance, and this is the place where data power steals the show. Means data power is the best product in the market. Whenever it comes, we have to implement security also, and we have to make sure your performance is also good. Okay, so as we discussed, all these type of security we can implement with IAB, but in IAB your performance will come down drastically, but in data power this performance will not come down. So the question comes, how in data power performance is good? Okay, the answer lies in the next slide. As we see, data power is not as a general application which is installed in no, in any operating system. As we see, all these applications like as a WESB or Cast Iron or WTX, these are the applications which are installed in some operating system. This operating system can be a Unix, or can be Windows, or can be Linux. Okay, so but what is the difference in data power? Data power comes as a box. We cannot install data power in Linux or Unix on these operating system. It means data power application comes itself installed in one operating system, that we call as a firmware. Firmware means it has some basic commands by which it can only read the instructions which are needed in data power. Think like this. Okay, if I ask a question, okay, if you install an application in a Unix machine, and if you install an application in Windows machine, where the application will be more faster? So of course, if the application is installed in Unix machine, it will be faster than the Windows machine. Why? Because in Unix there is no GUI. Since there is no GUI, so internal hardware resources which were needed to run GUI, those resources will be saved, and that resources can be used by the application which is running in Unix. So of course your application performance will be better in Unix compared to Windows. Okay, now if you see in Unix itself, it's a full-fledged operating system. In the Unix operating system, okay, it will support to a floppy drive, it will support to a CD drive, it will support to USB drive, hard disk, different hardwares. Okay, so it has that much of coding, and which can support to all those things. So what happens when you install Unix, automatically all those systems, all those services which are running all these systems, those will also be up. Okay, which are not needed. Of course, when you install data power, your Data Power application will also run, but apart from that all these applications will also run. Okay, so what IBM thought, why not to do it one thing, let's have only that much capability in operating system which can run only Data Power application. What will happen in that scenario? In that scenario, a Data Power application can consume all the hardware resources. Okay, it can consume the complete RAM, it can consume complete hardware, okay, it can consume complete processing speed. So automatically your speed will be, performance will be quite higher than the if you install the same application in normal operating system. So this is the reason Data Power is, in performance wise, it is the best integration tool. Second thing, okay, here one thing is we got good speed if we with Data Power, and second thing, in Data Power box there is no floppy drive, there is no CD drive, there is no USB drive. It means there is no way any virus or any security breach can happen in Data Power appliance. In fact, if in Data Power appliance somehow if we gave some wrong password and the tool gets logged, nobody can even unlock that tool itself. We cannot reinstall the image itself. What we need to do, we have to again give back this tool to the client, and sorry, IBM, and IBM will again get the backup, and again it's the IBM is the only authorized party which can work in this Data Power tool. So in that way, apart from performance, your application will also become very much secure. External third party virus and malware, they cannot affect Data Power applications which are installed in Data Power. Okay, so till now we understood what is an ESB, we understood what are the advantages of using ESB, and then we saw different IBM products, and we saw what is the benefit of IBM Data Power compared to other SOA products. Now in the next few slides we will discuss about what are the different use cases where IBM Data Power can be used. Okay, the first use case is called as a securing web services, or we say as a web service proxy. What is web service proxy? Web service proxy we can understand with this diagram. Suppose this is a client, and client is sending a request, and this is a server. Okay, and they are using web service as a protocol to communicate with each other. So we already know, if any client and server, if they use web service as a protocol, then server needs to tell few information in the form of WFDL file to the client. Okay, so basically that WFDL file will have the location where server is placed. Okay, sometimes what we want, we do not want the actual server location, we do not want to tell the actual server location to the client. Okay, we want to, because client there the request can come from any client, and what we want, instead of interacting to a real server, the client should interact to a virtual server or a proxy server. In that case, if there is any bad request which is coming from the client, that bad request will never reach to the actual server, it will only reach to the proxy server. If the request is bad, it will be discarded from proxy server itself. Okay, so in this scenario, Data Power works as a web service proxy. Data Power works as a proxy server. If you see, this is a client, this is a demilitarized zone, or I can say it's a Data Power, and here there are different servers are there. Any request which comes to DP box, DP box will work as a virtual proxy server. It will validate that request, and when it finds request is proper, it will send that request to the actual server. Now this client machine will get this virtual proxy detail. This client will never get the actual host server detail. So in that way we can secure actual host server from the external client. Okay. Second major benefit of IBM Data Power is accelerating dynamic websites. What is this accelerating dynamic websites? Sometimes what happens, client sends some information to the server. Okay, now server sends again response to the client. Okay, here let's assume this client is a browser. So I send some request to the browser. That request has gone to the server through Data Power, and server has response that some information or some big data to the client. Okay, as we know, in the browser whatever we see, it is in the form of a HTML. Any data which is coming from the server, okay, it has to be converted to the HTML, then only it can be displayed in the browser. Okay, normally as we know, Data Power can convert XML to XML. Okay, so I sent some request from the client to the server gave me the response in the form of a XML message. So again, if this XML message will come to the client, okay, now that again XML message has to be converted to the HTML message, and that HTML message can be displayed in browser. Okay, think like that. There is some sort of a mechanism, whatever the server is responding in XML, but Data Power internally converting that XML to HTML. Okay, and then in the client side we do not need another one more conversion that was happening from XML to HTML. Okay, because here Data Power itself has converted that XML message to the HTML message, or we can say XHTML message. Okay, so in that case your system performance will be increased. Why? Because we have saved time which we were wasting in XML to HTML conversion. Okay, now for doing this, Data Power uses XSLT. XSLT stands for XML style sheet transformation. Okay, so we will see in our next tutorials, okay, about the XSLT. So this is another advantage of IBM Data Power. Okay, next advantage of IBM Data Power is making SLA policy, service level agreement policy. So suppose to the server there are a lot of requests are coming, and what we want to restrict few requests in terms of load. Okay, we want to restrict few requests in terms of some service level agreement. Okay, like in 1 minute not more than 500 requests should come. Okay, if the requests are coming more than 500 in 1 minute, automatically after 500 all the requests will be rejected, so that server will not be overburdened. So if we want to implement such type of a SLA policy, we can do with Data Power. Okay, as we can see in this diagram also. Okay, next another use case comes when we want to integrate with some sort of a legacy applications. As we know, legacy applications are the applications which are quite old applications and are running in mainframe systems. Okay, so in that case, since Data Power also works as a ESB, and as an ESB it works as a protocol bridger, means you can convert one protocol to another protocol. So as you see in this diagram, from the client, request is coming to the DP box in the form of a web service. XML web services. So it means since web services internally uses, normally it uses the message format as a XML, so you got the request in the form of XML, and now this legacy system they understand message in the form of COBOL. So this data power again converts XML to COBOL, and data power has also internally MQ adapters. Okay, so in that scenario, data power, with help of data power, we can connect to the legacy applications, and that too in fast way. Next, in this slide, data power also helps in content based routing. What is content based routing? Content based routing is, suppose any client request is coming, and in dynamically what is type of request. Okay, let's think about it's like as a Amazon service which is there in this host, and someone has placed a request, and we have made some sort of a rules. If the request is coming from American region, okay, we will give 10% discount. If the request is coming in European region, we will give 20% discount. Okay, so and this condition will check dynamically. Okay, so in that case, suppose the request is coming, okay, and if it is coming from the American region, it is going to this server, and when it's a process through this server, it is giving 10% discount and sending back the response. Same way, when the request is coming from the European region, then it is again the request is getting checked over here, and after that it will go to another server, and it is providing you 20% discount. So such type of a dynamic routing can be developed using IBM Data Power. Okay, so as you see in this slide, we saw the overview about data power, what are the advantages of data power, and we saw what are the different use cases we can develop using data power. So thank you, and we will see you in next tutorial.